India has passed the UK to become the fifth largest economy in the world, and it may move up to third place by 2030. The largest economic story of the last few decades has been China's ascent. The emergence of its neighbor, India, as a possible new economic giant may be going unnoticed, though, amid worries over its faltering real estate market and widespread concerns about inflation. So in this video, we talk about India going to be the next superpower. Then make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for more videos. So, let's get started. Although it is not mentioned in Liz Truss' strategy for a modern Great Britain, India has recently surpassed the UK as the fifth largest economy in the world. By 2030, economists predict that the $1.4 billion person country will pass the US and China to take third position. And while the world became familiar with Chinese business titans such as Alibaba founder Jack Ma, the staggering wealth accumulated in recent years by Indian billionaires Gautam Adani and Mukesh Ambani has been less well publicized. Adani in particular has come to represent India's growing economic strength thanks to the rapid expansion of his Adani Group conglomerate, which covers everything from ports to airports and solar power to television. Having entered the global top 10 when he became Asia's richest person in February, he is now ranked third with a fortune of $143 billion and is closing fast on second-place Amazon boss Jeff Bezos. For a long time, India was viewed as China's inferior because of its bureaucracy and sclerotic, out-of-control state sector. Although it still faces significant infrastructural and poverty issues, it is starting to challenge its large neighbor thanks to economic growth rates that were formerly Beijing's source of pride. As pandemic limitations were withdrawn and industry and services thrived in the second quarter of this year, the gross domestic product, GDP, increased by 13.8%. India is still on course to develop by 7% this year as a result of economic liberalization in the private sector, even though double-digit growth is unlikely to be repeated in consecutive quarters. A rapidly growing working population and the realignment of global supply chains away from China. According to Shilan Shah, senior India economist at the consultancy Capital Economics, who is using recently updated data from the International Monetary Fund, India has surpassed the UK to become the world's fifth largest economy. India appears to be on track to keep climbing the world ranks in the future. Overall, we believe that during the next 10 years, India will pass both Germany and Japan to become the third largest economy in the world. India's capacity to expand its manufacturing industry and dethrone China as the world's top exporter will be crucial to its continued progress. India already profited from a sizable, educated, and frequently English-speaking middle class, which aided in the growth of the nation's top-tier pharmaceutical and information technology industries. Additionally, there is a healthy consumer demand there, which makes up approximately 55% of the economy compared to less than 40% in China. The current task is to establish itself as a manufacturing giant to compete with China, whose competitive edge is being eroded by an aging labor force and rising pay levels, while utilizing its young working population. As the geopolitical gap between China and the West increases, India might grow in freshly reorganized global supply networks. The future for India is positive if it can continue investing, according to Nguyen Trinh, developing markets economist at Natixis Bank in Hong Kong. Because of India's demographics, which are favorable with a growing working-age population that would drive demand for necessities like food and electricity, as well as infrastructure investment, she claims, Indian demand is likely to be high. Growth is being aided by the return to normalcy of post-COVID activity, as well as an increase in government spending, particularly on infrastructure. Consumer spending increased by double digits, and investment is picking up speed. Adani's tale is instructive, much like many other facets of India's economic development. The billionaire, who is now 60, walked out of Gujarat University, relocated to Mumbai, and started selling diamonds before branching out into ports, construction, and more recently, but very profitably, renewable energy. His Adani Group assets on the Indian stock market have skyrocketed in value as a result of his extensive industrial interests, which have perfectly complemented the nation's need for expansion. In the last 5 years, the value of his largest publicly traded firm, Adani Enterprises, has increased by a factor of 50, while Adani Green Energy, which oversees its expansion into solar energy, has seen a value increase of twofold in the last year. Ironically, considering the criticism surrounding its intentions to increase coal mining in Australia, the corporation is investing $70 billion into green energy projects by 2030 in an effort to become the greatest generator of renewable energy in the world. The fact that Adani was founded in Gujarat, a state in western India that also serves as the political home of Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India, is another significant symmetry. Among Modi's market reforms, which have increased foreign investment and lowered corporation tax from 35% to 25%, have liberated business people like Adani, Mukesh Ambani, the CEO of Reliance Industries, another Gujarati and the guy he passed as the richest person in the nation. Adani and Modi are tight, and the politician is known to fly aboard the tycoon's private plane for political campaigns. Mundra, the port on the Arabian Sea that Adani hopes to make the biggest in the world by the end of the decade, is the best example of his local and international ambitions. With a $1.35 trillion infrastructure program, Modi's administration hopes to construct 25,000 kilometers of new roads in the current fiscal year alone. Adani is well placed to profit at every stage as the necessary raw materials are shipped in, turned into goods and services, and then sent back out around the world through Mundra. From 1991 to 2019, India's GDP by purchasing power parity has increased by 772% from $1 trillion to $9 trillion. Being a superpower can be defined as the extensive ability to exert influence on an international scale. It is the state of possessing the might, both economic and military, that is superior in comparison to other countries. According to the World Population Review 2021, the powerful country in the world is the United States, followed by China, Russia, Germany, and the United Kingdom. 8 nations are ranked based on 5 factors, including leadership abilities, influence in politics and the economy, and international and military alliances. Also read, PM launches 7 defense companies to make India the biggest military force in the world. With a whopping $21 trillion GDP, the US comes out on top of the list. China, meanwhile, has a $14 trillion GDP. In spite of U.S. Vice President Joe Biden's defense of the contentious troop withdrawal from Afghanistan after 20 years of conflict as a necessary step, some have characterized the U.S. as a hegemon in retreat. Live firings and challenging workouts are now permitted in Malabar. Karambar Singh, the world's most pressing concerns are no longer decided by the U.S. and Russia, according to President Vladimir Putin. China and Germany are on the verge of becoming superpowers, he continued, as a result of the U.S.'s declining influence. With a GDP of approximately $3 trillion, India ranks 13th on the list. In the future, its strong skill base and reasonably priced connection will be key factors in raising its ranking. Each nation that China has a territorial dispute with, the key of India's clout in the shifting Asian power dynamics is its advantageous position. As a result, to counter China's expanding influence in the Indo-Pacific area, nations including the US, Japan, and Australia are closely collaborating with India. India's GDP by purchasing power parity (PPP) rose from $1 trillion to $9 trillion between 1991 and 2019 by 72%. However, from 1960 to 2021, the population of the nation increased by 209%, or from 450 million to 1.39 billion people. While this lowers per capita income, it will also keep the country's labor force large and young in the long run. In comparison to the US, China, and the EU, who will see a reduction in their labor force over the next 30 years, this will provide India a significant economic edge. By 2050, India's PPP is predicted to exceed the US and reach $43 trillion, making it the second largest economy in the world behind China. India is concentrating on a number of massive megaprojects to build a golden quadrilateral between its major cities in order to improve its infrastructure. It is focusing on the Bharatmala program, a $75 billion national highways and roadways initiative, and the Sagarmala project, a $116 million initiative to develop 14 coastal economic zones and new megaprojects. In the past 3 decades, India has budgeted 2.5% of its GDP for defense spending. As a result, both the country's economy and defense budget are expanding rapidly. So that's it for the today video. I hope you liked this video. If you really then do not forget to subscribe to our channel and hit bell icon for more videos. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day.